Hello and welcome to Grognard Solo Gaming. I am the Grognard and today we are continuing with Old School Essentials. Before I go any further, I'm just going to let you know that I got these two today. It's issue 4 and 5 of the Carcass Crawler scene, and if there is anything in here that I like, then I'm going to add that to the campaign. This one says Deities and Cults, Arcane Bard and Halfling Classes, Terrors of the Dark, and Strange Brews. And this one says Changelings and Rattlings, Lake and River Monsters, Short Adventure up Chaos River, Level 0 characters and cantrips, poisons, and special materials. So those are all things that might be added starting next session. I am making one change this session, however, and that is that going forward I will no longer be using the slow property for any ordinary handheld weapons. Since the last session, the party has gained 1 power die, and that's from Asaphoth. And then there are currently 22 likes on the previous session's video. So that means for this session, the party is going to have a bonus to the goal that they find that is times 1.22. And today the weather in Stockholm is 7 degrees Celsius or 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's cloudy and it's not raining, it's not snowing, so the party is going to have no problems traveling across the map. And this time we have had a few suggestions, which I appreciate very much. Uyakol has suggested the name the Sea Drake for the party's ship, and so from now on it's going to be called the Sea Drake. And he also suggested that it would be cool if Grimindor could turn the strange bones from the field of glowing bones into some sort of an undead servant. So I have an idea for that, and that is what we're going to look at next. OSE does have rules for magical research, creating new spells and creating magic items. However, it's way too expensive for Grimindor or the party to do it according to the rules at this point. But at the same time, I want to encourage every viewer to leave contributions to the story and the campaign. So that's why I'm going to say that as the party travels with the boat, at some point they cross a nexus of ley lines where the magic is stronger, and as that happens, Grimindor has a breakthrough in his research with the bones, and he manages to create this undead monstrosity. And the point of it being sort of a fluke rather than something that he does by his own skill is that the way this creature is going to work is that it's going to have a certain amount of hit points, and because it's undead and because it's outside of Grimindor's real capabilities, it's not gonna be able to heal. So once it reaches 0 hit points, it's gone, and then the party cannot simply go back to the field of glowing bones, get more bones, and create an army of these undead, but rather it's a one-time thing, and that's in order to maintain some amount of game balance while still using this cool idea. So, to make it easy for myself, I have decided that this undead construct is going to have the exact same stats as Grimindor. It is, like I said, it's not going to be able to heal. It's not going to have any ranged attacks. It's just going to be able to attack in melee. However, if it hits with a melee attack, the affliction is that, like a wraith, it drains levels. So it's very powerful and quite dangerous. But it only has 4 hit points. And like I said, when it's destroyed, then it's destroyed and it is gone. And if the construct survives this session, then you are welcome to name it, either Grimguy if you want to name it, or Uyakol if you want to name it. And if there, as always, if there is more than one suggestion for anything, a name or whatever it might be, then I'll just make a little table and I'll randomize a name. And the construct gets an improvised token with an enemy skull and then one of the golden coins. And we'll see if it sticks around. Maybe I will create a token for it. And it gets the blue ghostly die for now. Alright, so the input from the Guildmasters is that they want to go south and they want to look for Gretchen the Witch, hopefully in order to strike up an alliance with her against the bandits and the bandit king Merrick the Merman. So I'm going to look into that, and I am also going to generate some new islands, because my idea for this is that the party is talking to the crew of the Sea Drake, and there we are going to need a captain. So if anyone wants to name the captain, please leave a suggestion in the comments. And let's find out what the crew really knows, because the party learned about Gretchen while they were on the boat, so that's why I figured that the crew would have some information. So let's see, does the crew have more information about Gretchen? No. So the party, they only know that Gretchen is on the island, she's a witch, and they probably have figured out that she's the cause of some of the weirdness that goes on, but that's it. However, I would like to know myself where Gretchen's hut, let's say it's a hut, witches live in huts, I think, because what type of encounters they are going to have is going to depend on how close to the hut they are. So let's see. So last session I said that Gretchen would live somewhere here. I don't think she's living in the mountains here. She could be living by the foot of the mountains here, but most likely, well, this is probably the most likely spot. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is where Gretchen is located. 6. Okay, Gretchen lives all the way down here. So the crew members also know about the islands that are around Bloodcoast Island. So I'm going to place some dice here, and then I'm going to randomize where there are islands and how big they are. However, I am going to change how I roll, because what I found was that I really like when the islands are made up of 2 cards, potentially even 3, but more so than 1, because then there is some potential synergy between what's going on the 2 cards, and I feel like that's more interesting than having just 1 card. So therefore this time, if I roll a 1 then on a d6, then it's just 1 card. If I roll a 6, then it's 3 cards, and anything in between is going to be 2 cards. But let's see, I'm going to place some dice, and then we're going to find out where the islands are located. These are the directions where there might be an island. And I'm going to say that within 3 days of sailing, there is going to be 1d3 new islands. So this is the number of islands, 1. There can, of course, still be islands in the other directions, but this simply means that they are more than 3 days worth of sailing away from the island, Bloodcoast Island. So this is for the direction of the new island that the crew members tell the party about. If I roll a 6, I'm going to re-roll. And that was, of course, a 6, and that was another 6, and a 3. So to the east. And then it is 1d3. Oh, well, where did I put it there? This is how many days of sailing are required to reach this island, and it is 3 days to the east. And then I am also going to ask the coin, is this island, is this where the Ixit bug people, whatever they are going to turn out to be, is this where they are located? No, it is not. So then they are going to appear someplace else. And then I am going to roll for the size of this island to the east. And it is a 2-card island. So then I am taking the Hex Dek, and then I am cutting it, and I'm taking the top card, and then I'm cutting it again, and I'm taking the top card, and let's see what we ended up with. The first card is called Heart Tower, and the second one is called Dragon Pond. All right, interesting. Well, the crew is also going to tell the party that they know that around Heart Tower, people have seen zombies. There is also some kind of a slime creature living on that part of the island. And then this Dragon Pond is connected to some sort of a dragon somehow, but no one knows exactly how. And on that side of the island, there is also some kind of a crystal pyramid, and there are natural crystals, well, they think they're natural anyway, on both sides of the island. So, well, I'm going to add that to the world map, and then we are going to see in the future when and if the guildmasters are interested in going there. Whoops. On the 25th, the party were here in the boat, and today it is the 29th, so they spent 4 days on the boat. And then well, today they are going to travel into this hex, and that takes them 1 day, and that means on the 30th they are going to continue down to here. Okay, so then we are turning to this sequence per wilderness a day. And number one is the party decides course of travel. And that would be from this hex to this hex. And well, if they do get lost, they're not going to end up in the city. Then they might get close to the Field of Glowing Bones before they change their course again. But let's see, losing direction, this would be, I don't know, is this woods? Let's say it's woods. But then because they have Calliope in the party, who is a druid, instead of a 2 in 6 risk of getting lost, they only have a 1 in 6 risk of getting lost. So let's see. They, despite having a druid, they do get lost. So then, because the way that the map is, they are going to lose 1 day traveling towards the Field of Glowing Bones, but because there is a big difference between the vegetation and what it looks like, they're not going to accidentally end up inside this hex, but they are going to lose almost a whole day before they get to down here. So these dice are going to be rations for the whole party. So I'm going to place these, and then I'm going to find a die that is going to be sort of single rations. So one die like this is really 9 rations because it feeds the whole party. So on the 29th, they traveled into this hex, and that cost them 1 ration. Then they were lost until the 30th, so they are still in this hex, and that cost them 1 more ration. However, in this time, they have had the chance to forage, and foraging is something that you can do alongside travel. And if you have a barbarian, like the party does, then you have a 2 in 6 chance of successfully foraging 1d6 number of rations for the party. So that means that, I was going to say Flark, but not Flark, Daviez has 2 chances to find extra food, and no, because you're supposed to roll a low. So unfortunately, so far, no extra food. We also need to check for monsters on day 1. On a 1 or a 2, then there is a monster. And there is an encounter, so let's see. So I have 3 different decks for the encounters. Whoops. It is the deck of old school wilderness encounters. It's the eerie encounters that are Halloween themed. And then I also have the deck of old school encounters. And I think these are sort of more combat. And these here you take 3 cards and then you take 1/3 of each card and you sort of read them together, and then you get an event. So because Gretchen is down here and the party is up here, that means there is a 50-50 chance that we are going to use the Halloween cards. So let us ask the coin, is it a Gretchen type of encounter? And the answer is yes. So then we are putting these aside, and then I am going to, I need to remove the ones that we already used. Okay, so I'm going to cut the deck. This might be Gretchen, let's see. And then I'm going to read this card. A thunderstorm has been your companion all through the night. The pouring rain has blocked the brightness of the full moon, making shelter the only option for the evening. Around midnight, a wicked cackle fills the air. The clouds part, and in the light of the moonbeams, a spectral witch seems to shimmer to life in the air. Riding her broomstick, she races off into the night. Should you follow her? Well, the way that I see it, this is indeed Gretchen, because, well, I mean, of course, there might be more witches, and there might be witch feuds, and there might be all kinds of craziness going on, but in order to keep everything somewhat together, this is indeed Gretchen. And because both Tharos and Grek'on, they wanted to find Gretchen, I am going to say that they are going to try to signal Gretchen and see if they can talk to her. So let's see how that goes. All right, because it was Tharos and Grek'on that wanted to speak to Gretchen. I am going to roll for those 2 characters, and I'm going to say that they are going to use their constitution in order to shout so loudly over the noise of the rain and whatever else is going on in the forest at night, so that Gretchen hears them. And Grek'on has a constitution of 11 and Tharos has 12. Let's see if Gretchen can hear them or not. And a nat 1, what are the odds? 2 nat 1s when they are trying to roll a low. So that means they both shout so loudly that Gretchen has absolutely no choice but to hear them. And because this was such a rare roll, I am going to say that I'm not going to roll to see if Gretchen is interested or not, because they are so spectacularly loud. She immediately decides to fly her broom down to them and see what all the noise is about. All right, so let us start by finding out Gretchen's alignment. And I think it's fairly, well, let's say that on a 6, she is lawful. On a 4 or a 5, she is neutral. And 1, 2, 3, she is chaotic. She is a neutral, actually. So then I am rolling on this chart, monster reaction. Gretchen hopefully is not a monster, but let's see. And both Tharos and Grek'on have a +1 to this roll because of their charisma. And because they rolled so well on their shouting, I'm just going to give them another +1 each. So in total, they get a +3 to this roll. So let's see what Gretchen thinks about them. And well, she is not super happy despite the big bonus. She's neutral and uncertain. Because she is uncertain, she is not going to land. She's going to fly her broom down and she's going to hover in the air and she's going to ask the party who they are and what they want. And now the party, they probably, well, yes, because I said that I didn't decide why Gretchen cursed Marek. But because I came up with that idea, I'm going to just assume that that is information that the party has and they were told by the crew on the Sea Drake. So then Grek'on and Tharos, they are going to say to Gretchen that they are enemies of Marek and that they heard that she is also an enemy of Marek's and that they are thinking that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So let us see. I am going to roll 2 charisma rolls for Grek'on and Tharos to see how the negotiations go. And what are the odds? Another nat 1. So out of 4 rolls, I have had 3 nat 1s. That is not something you see every day. And not only that, but Tharos actually has a charisma of 14. So there is a nat 1 and a success, which means that Gretchen is going to be more friendly towards the party she's going to land, and she's going to be interested to hear what they have to say. And now the question is, because I'm going to interpret this as being successful negotiations, that Gretchen is going to be willing to help the party in their fight against Marek. And then I have to think about how might she do that. Well, because this is Gretchen and this is Gretchen's deck, so to speak, I am going to draw one of these cards and I might have to interpret it even more freely than I have done so far. But I'm going to base the help that Gretchen is going to give the party is going to be based on the card that I draw. So I am cutting the deck and there is another pumpkin. Did I? Yes, I removed the other pumpkin, so this is a new pumpkin. Let's see. It says, a whistle comes to your ears as a well-dressed jack-o'-lantern-headed man saunters into view. The light in its cunning eyes brightens as a sly, toothless grin contorts its face. Twirling its pocket watch, the creature leans in for a not-so-quiet whisper. You can trust me, friend. I am a kindly soul. Tell me 3 of your heart's desires and I'll make your wishes come true. Oh my. So Gretchen summons this weird creature. And then she just very casually explains to the party that, yes, this jack-o'-lantern man thing, it does grant wishes. I don't know if wish is a spell in OSE, maybe not, but the price for this is that you give your soul to the pumpkin man. And, well, the party, they are not too keen on this. I don't think anyone wants to sell their soul to the pumpkin man just in order to gain a wish against Marek. So let's see. I'm going to roll another charisma roll for the Tharos and Grek'on, and if they succeed as well, they don't need to roll on that one, but if they succeed again, both of them, then I'm going to draw 1 more card, but that is going to be the end of Gretchen's offers to help the party. So let's see. Well, I don't know what my dice are doing today, but with the nat 1, of course, the Gretchen is going to come up with one more offer. So I am cutting the deck, and well, it's the Halloween themed deck, so more pumpkins. Let's see. This one says, a jack-o'-lantern headed scarecrow stands near the road. If you approach it, the scarecrow's eyes alight, and the thing speaks. It has been many a full moon since last I spoke to ones such as you. Heroes you be, yes? The thing gestures with one of the branches it calls arms, pointing at a distant hovel. If ye are truly heroes, you will defeat the troll who dwells in yonder home and take its treasure. So I am going to sort of separate these things, and the thing that, because this first jack-o'-lantern man, it was simply too powerful, and the price it asked it was too high. So Gretchen creates a few of these straw men, jack-o'-lantern headed creatures that can work as a sort of henchmen. I mean, they're not going to cost anything, but like hirelings that the party is going to be able to use. And then, as an added bonus, she tells the party that there is a hovel to the, well, I'm just going to randomize somewhere. Well, it's to the southeast, and in that hovel there lives a troll, and the troll has a interesting treasure, and I'm going to say that it has a magical weapon that the party could use against Merrick, and that is as much help as they are going to get from Gretchen. And, well, I think she's also going to say, just for the fun of it, that if they defeat Merrick and they kill Merrick, then they can seek her out in her hut down here, and she's going to give them, well, one more reward. So let's see, how many of these living scarecrows is Gretchen going to be able to produce for the party? Let's say that they're not going to be very powerful, so I'm going to say that a D3 D6s of these creatures is what the party is going to get. So 2 D6, and let's have the D6s, well, 8 of them. So 8 living scarecrows, and then I am going to look at trolls. I am guessing that trolls, if they are anything like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, then the party might want to skip fighting the troll, even if it's guarding a magical weapon. But let's see. But with that, Gretchen wishes the party good luck, and she flies off towards the southeast, where her hut is located. And for even more fun, Guildmasters, if any one of you wants to sell their soul for a wish from the jack-o'-lantern man, then let me know in the comments. Let me know what the wish that the character is going to make, what it is, and then we are going to work that out. And then we'll see what happens when your character dies and their soul goes to the jack-o'-lantern man. But if you want to, then you are welcome to just leave a comment. Okay, so troll, much like I thought. Trolls in this game are intelligent, wicked, 8-foot-tall humanoids with emaciated, rubbery bodies. They consume the flesh of other humanoids, dwell underground, in barren wilderness, and in the ruined homes of former victims. And that would be the case here, because it's in this hovel of some poor person or persons that it killed. And they regenerate and all that good stuff, and they are quite dangerous. So even though it is guarding a magical weapon, and the party could really do with a magical weapon, they are not gonna risk it, even though they have the undead construct, and they have now 8 of these living scarecrows to help them. They are still going to leave the troll alone. But I am going to add it to the map. So because I do not record at home, I have a limited supply of things, so I found these. They are the tops of pencils, and I'm going to put them up here to indicate the scarecrows that are now traveling with the party. So I am going to retcon things a little bit, because originally the party traveled into this hex on the 29th, and then they got lost, and then they sort of returned on the 30th, or rather they failed to leave this hex and they got stuck there. But because they met Gretchen on the 29th, they are instead going to travel towards Redport, and I'm going to say that the chances of getting lost here are very, very slim. But well, I'm going to make the roll and see if some time is wasted, and that also means that they got one of their markers for 9 rations back. So let us see. They are going to travel to the west, and let's see if they get lost. They do not get lost, and then let's see if they have an encounter on, well, the risk of getting lost was 1 on the d6, and now for the encounter it's a 1 or 2 on the d6, and a 4 means no encounter. So that means on the 30th of November the party is able to enter Redports. So let's see how that goes. From this picture, it doesn't look as if Redport has any walls. So that means that the party is going to be able to just walk straight into the city and towards the castle where Merrick is hiding. And because they have their living scarecrows and also the new undead construct, they are definitely going to enter the city at night. So that means that there is some risk that they are detected, because there are guaranteed to be at least a few of the thieves, the bandits, moving about in the city at night. So what might, well, the thing is that the party, their ability to remain like stealth is not really an option when there are so many, and the scarecrows are very likely to be quite clumsy. However, there are only 37 bandits left in Merrick's gang. So I am actually going to make it simple, and I'm just going to ask the coin, is the party spotted on their way to the castle? And that is a yes. So then we know that bandits, when they show up in a dungeon, they are a 1d8. So that means, because it's night and most people have gone to bed and they have locked their doors and everything like that, then so the group that is out and about and sees the party, they are going to be 1d8. 8 bandits. Oh, this might turn into a fight. So I am going to handle this as if it was an ordinary encounter, and even though, well, I'm gonna use actually the dungeon distances because they are in the city. But let's check for surprise and see how that goes. On a 1 or a 2, that side is surprised and the party is blue. And no one is surprised. So then we are moving on to encounter distance, and that would be 2d6 times 10 feet. That would be 70 feet. At this point, the bandits are aware of the party and that the party has killed a number of their friends. And the party knows that Merrick and the bandits know, so that means that even though the bandits maybe are not super keen on fighting this large group of, well, however many they are at this point, there are like 20 people in the party, but I am going to simply roll the initiative because the party is going to attack the bandits because they don't want the bandits to run back to the castle and alert all of their friends. So let's see the initiative, and on a tie, the party wins. Well, technically now they are no longer all humans because of this. Well, I think it's fair that they sort of pay some kind of a price for bringing the scarecrows. So on a tie, I am going to re-roll, and the party is blue, so let's see. And that means that the bandits actually win. To find out how the bandits are going to act, I'm going to roll a d20, and the number that I roll, that is how many of the party are visible to the bandits, because that's going to say a lot about how they are going to act, because if they are only seeing a few members of the party, then they are much more likely to attack, but if they can see all 20, then they're guaranteed not to engage in combat. So rolling a d20 here, let's see, and 12, all right, 9 versus 12. Well, then I'm gonna roll morale for the bandits, and they have a morale of 8, and they rolled a 5, so they succeed. Well, I think they are, historically, from the previous session, we know that they are quite bloodthirsty and ferocious, so they are, in fact, going to attack the party, and they probably have crossbows also, so they are hoping to shoot the party. Okay, so bringing out some tokens for the bandits here. I do love getting ahead of myself in this game. However, if we are going to do this according to the rules, I am going to follow the combat sequence. So then what really happened was that we declare spells and melee movement. And also, let's see, because if the bandits can see 12 members of the party, well, then let's say that the bandits can see, well, maybe the scarecrows are all in a group behind the party. So the bandits can see the human members of the party, and that is when and why they decide to attack. So then that means Artaigon can see the bandits, and that means Artaigon is going to cast Sleep. So he is declaring that spell. Grimindor, no, because his spell has a range of touch, so no. And Flark, no. No, wait, Flark doesn't have spells yet. He is going to gain spells at level 2. And Calliope, maybe Calliope wants to... Well, no, they have crossbows, so there's no point in entangling them with any kind of entangling spell. So, no. So that means the only spell that is declared is Artaigon. And this time I have a pen, so that means I can mark Artaigon down here, so that I remember that he's going to cast the spell. And there is no melee movement, and then the bandits won the initiative, and so that means that they get to act. They don't need to roll morale yet. Perhaps when they see the small army of living scarecrows, they might be forced to roll for morale. So that means that they move, and I decided that they have crossbows. So then they are going to, well, so they really don't have any reason to move. Well, maybe if they want to get in short range. I'm going to look at the rules for crossbows to see if they want to get closer or not. No, the short range is up to 80 feet, so because they are at 70 feet of distance, that means that they are already in close range. So they are then going to stand their ground and fire their crossbows at the party, and this is not going to be good because they are twice as many as were in the ambush earlier. So let's see how this goes. So this time I am going to say that everyone is a potential target, including the pets, including the undead construct, except for the living scarecrows, because they have yet to come around the corner. So I'm going to roll 8 d12s in order to assign party members as targets, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, so 8 d12 in order to see who gets a crossbow bolt shot at them, and perhaps not. Okay, so I am just going to assign these, and then we're gonna see what happens. Okay, so now we can see that poor Grimindor suffers 2 shots, his construct suffers 2 shots, and then Grek'on's Pantera suffers 1 shot, Flark the Flatulent cleric suffers 2 shots, and then poor Calliope is the target of 1 shot. So let's see how this ends up. Grimindor with an AC of 10 at close range, that means they need to roll an 8 or higher and 2 shots, and he is going to be allowed to use the power dice if needed. So let's see how it goes. And that would be 2 hits. Oh no. First bolt, he has 4 hit points. And he is dead. Well, he's not dead. He has 1 hit. Oh, well, that means poor Grimindor dies on the 2nd shot. Well, that was too bad, and we are going to miss you, Grimindor. So it turns out my brain wasn't braining properly, and somehow I got it into my head that Grimindor would suffer at least 1 point of damage because I rolled a 6. But of course that's not true. If I manage to roll a 6 on the power die, then he is actually going to survive. So even though it's a slim chance, I am of course going to try. So let's see. That's a 1, so unfortunately that doesn't change the outcome, and Grimindor did indeed die. Then the same thing with the construct, and it has exactly the same stats, so let us see. A nat 20 and a 17, those are both hits, and because it is the construct, I am not going to waste the power dice on the construct because it's unable to heal anyway, so it is highly unlikely, but if I roll snake eyes or something like that, then no. Unfortunately, the barrage of crossbow bolts is too much also for the construct. Pantera, an AC of 7, 11 or higher, nat 1. Pantera gets away. Flark has an AC of 4, meaning they need a 14 or higher to hit him, and there are 2 against him as well. They both miss. Lucky, I'm not going to call anyone lucky because that is just going to jinx it, but he doesn't get hurt this time. And then finally Calliope with an AC of 6, so 12 or higher, 1 bolt, and that's a miss. So that was it. Okay, so the party's turn, and morale check. Well, yes, I am actually going to roll morale for the bandits because, well, actually no, because when it's time for the morale check, the army, well, 8 of the living scarecrows, they have not yet come around the corner, so no. No morale check for the bandits, and then there is movement, and everyone in the party that wants to get into melee range is going to move their full move towards the bandits. However, they are not going to run, they are going to walk, sort of, so that they can all fire their ranged attacks except for Artaigon, who is going to cast Sleep. So then we are going to the missiles, and let's see. Curtis Torin is going to throw a dagger, and it is a long distance for a thrown dagger, so he suffers a -1 to his Thaco. So that is a miss, unfortunately. Grek'on is going to... Where did I put his die? And why? Here. Oh, right, because he and Tharos, they were making charisma rolls or whatever it was before. Right, so Pantera is not going to be able to do anything yet. And then Grek'on is firing his short bow, and that would unfortunately be a miss. Daviez has a sling and a very high dexterity, so he is going to fire, and a 13. That is a hit for a d4 points of damage, 2 points of damage to, let's say, this one. Artaigon is, wait, well, I'm going to remove these rations. Right, Artaigon is not casting Sleep just yet because it's the missile phase. And let's see, Flark. What does Flark have? He also has a sling with a Thaco of 19. So let's see if he can hit a bandit. With a 3, he is unfortunately not able to hit. And then we have Calliope, and she has a sling with a Thaco of 19. And with a 16, she hits a bandit. And she inflicts 3 points of damage. So I'm going to randomize who gets hit, number 7, and he only has 1 hit point left. Then it is time for Lekkis, and he also has a sling. Urso is unable to attack. He has a Thaco of 18, and nat 1. Womp womp. Well, too bad. Then finally Tharos with his short bow, and another nat 1. How many nat 1s have I rolled this session? I have actually lost track at this point. And that was it for the party's missiles. And that means the party goes into spells, and there is 1 spell, and that is Artaigon with his Sleep, and we know that Sleep has a very long range, and then we are rolling 2d8 for the, well, it's the hit dice, but they are 1 hit die, so this is how many of them fall asleep. And that would be 13, so they all fall asleep, and at this point, because they killed Grimindor, the party is not going to bother tying these evildoers up. They are going to kill them in their sleep, and that was it for the combat. So the party, they are very angry at the bandits because of the death of their friend Grimindor, so they are simply going to push on ahead because they managed to kill all 8 bandits before they could raise the alarm and one could reach the castle and let the other bandits know what's going on. So the party is just going to bring their living scarecrows, and they are going to march onwards to the small castle where Merrick the merman is hiding. And I am going to put the dice back. Because we already know that the bandits are lazy and they hate guard duty, there are probably just the two of them, even also at night. So the party know where they are located, so the party run no risk of being surprised. However, they are going to try to surprise the guards, and because of that, I, much like the ambush against the party, doubled the risk of being surprised. I am going to double the risk for the two guards that are stationed outside the castle at night. On a 1 to 4, they are surprised. They are surprised, which is very good for the party. So these are the two poor guards. And, well, they are technically, well, they are bandits, but they do have heavier armor. I decided last time that they had scale mail, I'm pretty sure, and a spear and a shield. So I'm going to check what that gives them for their AC. They, well, chainmail and not scale mail, but either way that gives them an AC of 5, and if they are holding their shields, then they have an AC of 4. However, I am going to ask the coin, because it's highly likely while Merrick is asleep and they're just standing around in the dark that they have put their shields down because it's easier for them. So I'm asking the coin, are they holding their shields? Yes, they are actually. So maybe they are going on a small patrol route or something like that, so they are carrying their shields as the party ambushes them. So in the surprise round, they have an AC of 4, and everyone that has a ranged attack is going to get to make a ranged attack, and we are going to see who hits and who does not, and they are surprised, so they are not doing anything for now. Let's see. Alright, so Flark has an interesting die. I have no idea where this is from. It has a circle here, and the circle is a 1. Okay, so Flark rolls on that one, and that means he misses, so I'm removing that. And then against an AC of 4, Calliope misses, Grek'on misses, Lekkis III misses, and Daviez misses. That leaves Curtis, Torin, Tharos, and Artaigon with hits, and the arcane casters are throwing daggers, and Tharos is firing his bow, so let us see. Unfortunately, Tharos cannot use his backstab with a ranged weapon. So let's say that this guy takes 2 daggers and this guy takes 1 arrow. So first guy, well, he's dead from the first one, and then the second one is a 1, and then the bow does. So he actually survives, so he could raise the alarm. Let's see. And before I get ahead of myself, well, first of all, he only has 1 hit point left. So let us see then. Declare spells and a melee movement. No one is casting any spells, and there is no melee movement. So then it is time for initiative, and the party is blue. And the party wins the initiative, and that's really good for the party. So then I am just going to, again, rain missiles on this poor guy, and if anyone hits, he is dead before he can raise the alarm. So all 8 characters are going to fire on the single bandit, and let's see how that goes. Well, those are... Artaigon hits again, Lekkis III hits, Daviez hits, and, well, he is really, really, really dead from those attacks. Okay, so Grek'on has a grappling hook and some rope. So the party is going to use that to get up over the wall of the castle. So let's see if he is able to do that quietly, rolling against his dexterity. With a 2, that is a very stealthy grappling hook that he throws up, and it attaches itself neatly, and then the party starts to climb. And because we have already decided that there are no more guards patrolling at night because they are too lazy, and some of them perhaps are out and stealing things and doing thief-like things, well, actually, this is their lair, and either because at this point there are 27 bandits left, but because there is a pretty big chance that they are out doing criminal things, what I'm going to do is I am going to roll as if it is a wilderness encounter, which means that there are 3d10 bandits in the keep with a maximum of 27. So let's see. Number of bandits in the castle. And there are 12 of them. All right, and one of those 12 would be Merrick. in order to make this as quick as possible, well, in order to make it not drag out too long at least, I am going to sort of abstract how this all works out. And because encounters with bandits in dungeons, then there are 1d8 of them. So I'm going to divide the 11 bandits, well, plus Merrick, the 12, in encounter groups. And then I'm going to start fighting one of them randomly because the party is not aware where Merrick is located. So it's not guaranteed that he is in the group that they end up fighting first. And so they are more or less guaranteed to surprise the first group. But then as the combat goes on, the other groups are going to be alerted. They're going to wake up and they're going to join the fight. So the first group of sleeping bandits that the party comes across, they are 7 of them. And then let's see, is Merrick one of them using the coin? And yes. Okay, so the first encounter is Merrick plus 6. Merrick gets the yes/no coin as a marker that he is the boss, and then he has 6 of his friends. And then group number 2, that's the rest of them, and that would be 5 more bandits. The additional 5, they are going to join the combat in a d4 plus 1 rounds, so round number 4. So because they are asleep, it is highly likely that they are surprised, but I am going to say that Merrick, he is surprised on a 1 to 3, and then these guys, they need to roll a 6 in order to avoid surprise. So Merrick, he is surprised, he rolled a 1, and these, they also rolled a 1. So the bandits are surprised. And now what is happening is they are inside the castle, they are asleep in their rooms, and the party is charging in through the door with their small army of living scarecrows, and they are attacking. So now there is not much distance between the bandits and the party, so everyone is going to be able to move into melee and attack on the surprise round. Okay, so let's see here. Declare spells and melee movement. Well, there are no spells and there is no melee movement. Then we would roll initiative. Well, I guess you do roll initiative, but only the ones that are not surprised get to act. So let's skip that because there are only 2 sides in this battle. And then the winning side acts, and that would be the party because it's a surprise round. There is no morale check. Movement. Well, okay, let's have the party move in. Grek'on and Pantera. Oh, well, actually, I'm not going to move the dice. I'm going to move the tokens. They are going to move in. And Daviez is going to move in. Artaigon is not. Flark is going to move in. Oops. Calliope is not. Lekkis III is moving in. Urso is moving in. Tharos is not moving in. Then we have the small army of living scarecrows. Well, they don't really want to stand up. Then it is time for the missiles. And Curtis Torin is going to throw a dagger. 17 is going to hit. I'm gonna re-roll that, and a 4. That is going to kill. Well, I'm just going to roll randomly here. Number 6, and that means that guy is dead. Well, never mind if that falls. Artaigon is also going to throw a dagger with an 8. That's unfortunately going to miss. Calliope is going to fire her sling. A 3 is going to miss. And finally, Tharos is going to fire his short bow with a 12. Well, I guess really they wouldn't be sleeping in their armor and thing, but I'm going to say that they are sleeping in their armor because it's otherwise I think it's going to be too easy. But that also means that Tharos misses, unfortunately. Then it is time for the party's melee attacks, and Grek'on and Pantera, they are attacking 19 and 15. Those are both hits, and they are attacking Merrick the Merman. And Merrick, he has a +1 to everything, and he also has twice the hit points, meaning that he has 8 hit points. And Grek'on and Pantera, they inflict a 1d8 and a d6 and then +1. So if they get 8 or more, then Merrick is defeated before he even gets out of bed. Let's see. No, they inflict 4 points of damage, leaving Merrick with 4 hit points left. Daviez is going to swing his sword. Is he going to attack Merrick or is he going to attack the guy next to him? I am going to randomize. On a 1 to 3, then it is Merrick. Oops. No, he is attacking the other one. Sword attack from Daviez. 16 is a hit. And that would be 3 points of damage, leaving this guy with 1 hit point. Then Flark. 18 is a hit. D6 plus 2, 4 points of damage. That is going to kill this guy. Lekkis and Urso. And a 4 and a 6. Unfortunately, they both miss. And that means that it is time for the 8 living scarecrows. And I'm going to say that they have a THAC0 of 20, and the bandits have an AC of 6, so they need to roll 14 or higher. And that was the worst roll I have seen in my life. One out of 8 living scarecrows hits its target, and they inflict a d4, and that will be 2, and then we have 5 potential targets. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, Daviez. Well, that actually does end up killing 1 bandit then, but that was still a terrible roll. And that was the surprise round. So now we are moving into the next round of combat, and that means that we are going to declare spells and melee movement. Well, the bandits don't really barely know what's going on at this point, so I'm simply gonna roll the initiative and see what happens. The party is the blue die, and they win with a 2 to a 1. And I'm going to replace the dice because that makes it easier for me to remember who has acted. Okay, so the party, they won the initiative, and then they get to act, and the first thing that happens is that they need to check morale, and well, in the darkness, I'm just gonna, they fail their morale. Okay, so the bandits, once they get to act, they are going to attempt to run away, but let's see if there are any escapees, or if the party is going to kill them before they get away. Okay, so that was the morale check. Movement, no, everyone that wanted to get into melee is in melee range, so that means it's time for the missiles. Curtis with a dagger, 15 is going to hit. And a 3, and let's see, there are 4 of them left. Number 2, this guy takes 3 points of damage, leaving him with 1 hit point left. Artaigon throwing a dagger, an 8 is unfortunately a miss. Calliope firing her sling, 17 is going to hit, and she inflicts 4 points of damage. That is potentially going to take someone down. Let's see who gets hit. Okay, rolling this again. Number 4, this one is killed. And then Tharos with the short bow, 18 is going to hit, and that is a d6. Only 1 point of damage. There are 3 of them. Number 3, so this one takes 1 point of damage, leaving him with 3 hit points. Then it is time for a melee. So Grek'on and Pantera, they continue to attack Merrick, and a 14 hits, but a 4 is a miss. So that means Pantera inflicts a single point of damage, meaning Merrick has 3 hit points left. Daviez is going to attack Merrick as well, swinging his sword, a 9. That is unfortunately a miss. Then Flark, well, they are not doing too well. Let's see. Well, I'm gonna randomize. On a low roll, Flark goes for Merrick. No high roll, so that means he's going for this wounded one. And 19 is a hit, and he has only 1 hit point left, so he is killed. That leaves Lekkis and Urso against the bandit with 3 hit points. And 12 from Lekkis. That is a hit with his sword for a d8 plus 1, 6 point. Well, that means this one is also dead. And that leaves 8 living scarecrows against Merrick. So let's see how they do. He has an AC of 5. They need a 15. This, I'm not even gonna go into what the probability of this is. All 8 of them miss Merrick, because the normal bandits have an AC of 6 and he has a +1 because he's the leader, so he has an AC of 5 and they need a 15. So all 8 of them completely missed. Terrible, terrible, terrible rolls. Okay, so then it is Merrick's turn, and at this point, with all his men dead, he is, well, is he going to... So we know that he is a quite selfish person. And, well, let's see. Right, and also he does have the enchanted candy. Well, I'm going to look up ghosts, because that might make this still interesting or even potentially dangerous. Ghosts are quite dangerous if he manages to summon them. Well, how likely is it that he is carrying this enchanted candy on him while he is sleeping? It's perhaps not super likely. Well, I am going to free him from the yes/no coin because he's alone now, and I am going to ask the coin if he is carrying the enchanted candy or not. Is Merrick carrying the candy when he is sleeping? No, he is not. All right. Then that means that he is, well, I think at this point Merrick is not going to try to fight. Instead, he is going to try to surrender. And then I'm going to ask the coin if Merrick has anything of interest, something that he can use as a bargaining chip in order to prevent the party from killing him in this situation. So does Merrick have anything of interest that he can use? Yes, he does. And what might that be? It could be that he has finally learned the location of the treasure that he has been seeking for such a long time. And if that is true, then maybe he wants to tell the party where it's located, and he is hoping to make the deal that if they find it, then he gets to have the item that can lift his curse, and the party can have everything else. So is that the case? Is that his bargaining chip? No, actually it is not. All right, so then I am going to say that he is going to fake it. He's going to try to trick the party into believing that he has found the treasure. So he's going to tell them that, oh, no, please don't kill me. I know the location of this mighty and powerful treasure that has riches beyond your wildest dreams. So wait. And then let's see. Well, because of the death of Grimindor and how the party have been fighting the bandits since they arrived on the island, I know they are out for blood, so they are just going to kill Merrick the Merman, and they are going to get a bit of loot from sacking this castle. And then, let's see, this was round, well, there are 5 more bandits that are going to show up, and, well, the party, they are not going to be surprised, because they think, because they got bad information from Targosa, they think that there are many bandits still around, so they're not going to feel like they are done just because they defeated Merrick and these bandits. But then the question is, do I really want to run one more combat against bandits tonight? The truth is, no, I do not. So I am simply going to do this, and if I roll, I'm going to roll a d20, and if I roll something very low, then something bad is going to happen to the party, and if I roll something high, then something good is going to happen, and we'll just see. And I rolled a 14, so that's on the higher side of the die, so but it's not enough that I'm going to give them a big bonus. But I am going to say simply this: the party, they defeat the last 5 bandits. Perhaps someone is wounded and things like that, but in the long run it's not going to matter because there are no more threats in Redport after this, at least for now. So what I'm going to say now is that the city of Redport and the castle, they are considered safe, so that the party can stay there, and there are no random encounters or anything bad that's going to happen while they're there. So they don't have to go back to their boat in order to be safe now. They can stay in the castle. Okay, so in the aftermath of destroying the bandits, the living scarecrows, they fall apart. Their enchantment was not permanent. The party, they are going to bury their friend Grimindor, maybe the day after the battle. And they get loot from the castle, and they also get to take over the castle. So Guildmasters, you can decide if any of you wanted to sell your soul for a wish from the jack-o'-lantern man. And then also you can decide if any one of you wants to make a new character and leave your current character as the ruler of Redport, then you are welcome to do that. And if you cannot agree, well, we'll have to work that out next time. So I'm thinking there are probably going to be some bonus experience points also for defeating all the bandits and turning Redport into a city that is going to join the kingdom. So that is also a success on the party's side, that they have gotten one step closer to the mission that they were sent on by, well, their guilds, but also the knights that visited Paradise City as the campaign started. And as usual, I am losing my voice, and therefore I am going to save all the experience and the loot and the things for next time. And Grim Guy, you are most welcome to come up with a new character, whatever you like. It can be another necromancer if you want to, otherwise you can look at the list, or maybe I will send you a comment with a list of the classes, and then you can pick something and we will work that out. And those of you that are not Guildmasters, remember that you can give the party power dice, and if you leave a like, then they get a bonus to the gold, and if you want to leave a suggestion, then you are most welcome to do that. We had the undead construct, and we also have the bug people somewhere in the world that have been added by viewers. But that is going to be it for this time, and I thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.